welcome to another episode of Perfection Unfolding with me, your host, Cara G. Welcome to the show, guys. I have limited time today because I am not in the studio. If you're watching on YouTube, which hopefully you are, I'm on vacation, aka I'm just not in Texas anymore. I'm not in my house recording this as I normally would. So apologies that I'm not in the bedroom for the fourth installment of the Inner Child series, but I am in my best friend's living room, and so we're making it work. I have, again, limited time because I got lots to do today, but it's Tuesday. I am recording this day of because I told myself just because I'm on vacation doesn't mean that I can slack off, okay? This is a really jam-packed, juicy episode, so if it feels like I'm going fast, I apologize, but there's just so much to get through. So yes, welcome to the show. That's a lot right up front. If you're new here, welcome. This is the fourth installment of my Inner Child Healing series. So excited for that if you found this randomly. If you have been listening, hopefully the other 3 episodes have been giving you some more insight about yourself. Maybe you met your inner child. Comment below like what that experience was like for you. I would love to know. We're going to skip over all the fluff today and just get right into it. The only life update I'm going to give is that my Aura Alchemy event that I talked about last week went really, really well. I would read you some of the reviews, but they're on my phone and I'm using my phone to record. So, but yeah, basically it was four incredible women came out, and a 5th one, including my friend Andy, who helped record the event and take some pictures, which are coming soon. Follow the podcast at Perfection Unfolding Pod on Instagram for more on that. But Aura Alchemy was a success. Everyone made their aura sprays. We sat around and we talked about, the things that we want to let go. We got into some deeper topics about, maybe some of our family dynamics and just some disappointments and some grief that we had, and we kind of all had this collective experience of just feeling safe to share, and it was really beautiful, and I got some really good feedback, so I'm excited to possibly keep bringing more of those to life in the next year or so. So yeah, Aura Alchemy was a hit, and it was on the full moon, and so much has happened since that event, and it's only been like 4 days, so very cool. More to come on that. I'll be posting a recap video once my friend Andy edits it, so you can kind of see what the vibes were. So again, follow us on Perfection Unfolding Pod on Instagram, or me at Cara G Campbell on Instagram. Yeah, super fun, super exciting stuff. I'm really proud of myself for bringing that to life because I think it's just the next step in what I'm supposed to do for Perfection Unfolding. Just bringing people together to feel safe and to express and to share. Right? That's what I'm doing here, right? I'm making my own space to express myself and to share. So I want to kind of facilitate that for other people. Okay, that being said, boom. Welcome to the 4th installment of the Inner Child Healing series. Go back and watch the other 3 episodes. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's like the last 3 episodes minus 1 on my YouTube channel, or if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. It starts with what is an inner child. It talks about the wounds behind the wounded inner child. I think the last episode was how to reparent yourself, and then this episode is all about reconnecting with play, joy, and curiosity as a way to heal your inner child in a fun way, right? It's basically play, joy, and creativity as a love language for your inner child. Because let's be honest, like our creativity, joy, and play, like what we think is fun, it comes from what we liked as a kid. It's like that inner child wonder, that inner child curiosity that a lot of us feel like we lose in adulthood because of the traumatic things that we've experienced, because of the situations we were put in. We feel like we have to protect ourselves. So when we feel like we have to be guarded all the time, curiosity and creativity have no room to grow. They have no room to live, right? Because it involves a certain level of vulnerability, which if you feel like you're always unsafe, you think you could be vulnerable? No. It's impossible, I would say. So with that said, we're going to go through why play and joy are essential parts of healing. We're going to go into how unexpressed creativity equates stored sadness, right? Because a lot of times when we are traumatized, or when we shut ourselves off from that inner child inside of us, right? Because we're wounded, because it was unsafe to be creative, it was unsafe to be curious, it was unsafe to play, it was unsafe to express yourself in any way that wasn't just like sit down, shut up, right? For a lot of us. Or that wasn't just like my mommy and daddy are mean, or my mommy and daddy are drunk, or, you know, when you just feel neglected, you shrink and you get so small, and you kind of energetically like fetal position, right? But then when you connect to curiosity, creativity, and play, you feel safe, you open up, right? And then you physically have this like receptive energy, this receptivity to the world, to wonder, to curiosity. So yeah, unexpressed emotion is like it's stuck inside, which could lead you to feeling deep feelings of sadness, depression. You dissociate from your feelings, all that stuff. So yeah, so why play and joy are essential parts of healing, how unexpressed creativity equals stored sadness, and then we're going to get into let me read my notes. And then we're going to get into how to access creativity, joy, and play, right? So we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to talk about how we can get it, right? So lock in, okay? I probably got like a solid 35 minutes. So we're gonna get through it, okay? So with that being said, let me get through my notes. Also, I've got my local fifis here. You like my little setup? Also, side note, side plug, I'm wearing Perfection Unfolding Cosmic Crew Neck, available on perfectionunfolding.com/shop. And before we get started, I'm about to do the thing that other YouTubers do, okay? Other podcasters. Like this video, like this episode, comment, and then subscribe. Follow the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, please, for the love of God. I do not know how this algorithm works, okay? No matter what I try, like the hashtags, the shorts, the Instagram, nothing, I don't understand. I don't understand. I was like, I swear the content I'm making is good and helpful. But it's the likes, it's the shares, it's the subscriptions that help get this podcast out to other people. So if you are finding this stuff helpful, okay, please do a girl a solid. Share it, subscribe, like it, so that it can bump up in whatever algorithmic thing the internet does, right? I feel really grimy having to do that, but it is what it is. You know, you got to play the game, I suppose. So, with that said, let's get into it. Okay, so why play and joy are essential parts of healing? So I grabbed some info from this article that I talked about last week, How to Heal Your Inner Child by Susan Albers, Doctor of Psychology. This was on clevelandclinic.org. And in that article, towards the end, it just says to be childlike is a healing experience, to allow yourself to be childlike. She says, allow yourself to let go every now and then and do something you once loved as a child. Be playful, explore your curiosities, pick up an old habit you let go of long ago. She says, and I quote, for a lot of people who have inner child wounds, they didn't feel safe enough to play and experience joy when they were kids. So they often feel cut off from that part of themselves. She says, tapping back into that as an adult helps you reparent yourself, right? Back to that reparenting aspect, so that you learn it's okay to have fun and to do things you did as a child that gave you joy. So the healing aspect of play and joy is you as an adult, which this goes into reparenting too, but you as an adult creating the safe space to fully express, to fully enjoy something, right? Like for me, an example of this is I love the movie The Sound of Music, okay? It's not everyone's favorite movie, but it was a movie that brought me so much joy that as an adult, right? Literally 3 weeks ago when I was on a flight back to Dallas from Costa Rica, it was a 3 hour flight, and The Sound of Music is a 3 hour movie. That movie brings so much joy to my inner child and just to me in general that I cried the entire time. This is not a sad movie, okay? This movie is like a musical. It has sad aspects to it. It's based in World War II times, but there's singing and dancing, and I was so happy. I allowed myself to feel so much joy to like let it bring back those feelings of excitement that I was crying happy tears for 3 hours. I was watching the movie and just thinking, I love this movie. Because you just forget, like, because when I was a kid, my mom was a music teacher and she played that album for us like every single day on our way to school. So it's not just this like musical because I love to dance and sing. It's like it has this whole other layer of it. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. This is crazy. I'm only 10 minutes in. This movie has a whole other layer to it of like feeling loved and oh my God, I did not anticipate feeling this emotional about it. Wow. But feeling loved and seeing my mom be playful. Like my mom created a safe space for me to be a kid, for me to fully express, for me to obnoxiously yodel in the car. Hi, and it was a lonely go-to. Like it's so obnoxious and so dramatic, and I'm obsessed. I've done some work to allow myself to like experience that joy to the nth degree, apparently, like on a plane publicly to the point where the flight attendant tapped me on the shoulder. She was like, I love this movie. And I said, me too, girl. I'm like wiping my tears, you know? And it allowed me this opportunity to actually connect with somebody else because I was allowing myself to indulge in this movie that I used to love so much. So that's like an example of like allow yourself to be childlike. Um, it's it's you reclaiming this opportunity to like create a safe space to be able to enjoy. And it can be something as simple as watching a movie you used to love. Like another movie for me, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, The Mask, Aladdin, like Disney. I feel like a great example of just that is like, a lot of people make fun of Disney adults, but Disney adults are tapped into their inner child. They are tapped in. And if you find yourself being jealous of their ability to do that, might be a sign that you have a little bit of work to do, right? If you're disgusted by Disney adults, which I feel like kind of a strong feeling, might be a sign that you were a little bit chopped off from your inner child wonder. Okay. There was another article I came across that talks about the importance of play and fun in relational trauma recovery. And this is an article by on psychologytoday.com by Annie Wright. She's a relational trauma recovery specialist, LMFT, licensed something therapist. And she says, in regards to play and fun, she says, seeking out play and fun is, in my personal and professional experience, our natural state that we have as children. But when we go through traumatic early experiences, this normal and natural impulse may be impeded by how we self-organize to cope with that trauma. The thing that I highlighted here was normal and natural impulse, right? Fun and play is not something that is, quote, supposed to be difficult to access. Fun and play is our natural and normal impulse as a child, because when you're a child, you have no concept of danger or the world being an unsafe place until you are shown that by adults, people, what have you, right? Until you go through an experience that shows you, oh, this is unsafe. I can't be myself, or if I am myself, I get punished, or, so on and so forth, enter your traumatic experience. But I love this, the normal and natural impulse. Play and joy and fun, play and fun are like, if we didn't have any, think about it like this, if we didn't have any trauma, that would just be who we are, right? We wouldn't have these weird coping mechanisms that we've now identified with, maladaptive behaviors that are just our personality. It's like, no. There was an article I read that referenced how NASA did a study years ago where they like they tested a bunch of 5-year-olds for like their IQ level, I guess. And 98% of 5-year-olds were considered genius because creativity and fun and play and curiosity, right? They're asked all these questions and they were free to do this. And then as you get older, those geniuses start to like fall off because trauma affects your brain. It affects your neural pathways. It affects how you think. It affects the access you have to your thoughts and feelings, right? Geniuses, and I guess it depends on what you consider a genius, but a genius to me is like a healthy person who thinks clearly and has critical thinking skills and can put pieces together. And I mean, that's a whole other like episode, but to me, I'm like, it's just so, how sad is that all of us could be geniuses if we were never traumatized, if the world was a safe space, right? Annie Wright goes on to say, again, you know, fun and play, like the whole reason why we want to get back to that is so with the end goal of helping ourselves feel as vital and enlivened as possible as adults, despite our adverse early beginnings. Right, because what is fun and play if not feeling totally alive, right? If fun and play, if the idea of that brings like a feeling of like, you know, like that's childish, that to me points to the shame you have around your childlikeness, right? If that tells me that somebody along the way in your journey said being playful, being fun was disgusting, it was unacceptable, it was a waste of time, it was something to be ashamed about, right? Because a lot of times the things that we think, we didn't put them there, somebody else did, somebody else put that there. Because going back to the genius thing, like a genius is somebody who thinks for themselves. A genius is somebody who comes up with ideas, right? The opposite of a genius is somebody who is just at the mercy of, well, who just goes along to get along. They just, oh, that person did it, so I'm going to do it. A follower versus like a leader. And now I mean, listen, I'm not an expert in any of this, so please take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But going back to the shame piece of it, like the whole reason to get back to your inner child playfulness and the fun that you used to have is so that you can feel more alive. It's so that you can feel more whole. The best parts of life, in my opinion, are love, curiosity, creativity. Like, what is the point without that stuff? Well, I'm just going to work the rest of my life? When I'm just going to clock in and clock out and just, like make small talk at like the coffee machine? Small talk at the coffee machine can actually be fun if you prioritize it. If you're cracking jokes, if you're doing bits, if you're, you know, you're just like, you're creating your own reality. Like, you don't have to be a slave to your reality. You can create it, right? This is where creativity comes in. This is where your mind opens up to new possibilities. Creativity isn't just drawing. Creativity is problem solving. Creativity is anything that you create from nothing. Like nothing exists and then you just made something mean something. You gave it a purpose. You gave it your attention. Yeah. And the whole point of doing this work is so that you can feel, what she says, you can feel more vital. You can feel more enlivened as an adult. Because as a kid, like, anything's possible. As a kid, you have so much wonder and so much joy, and you're like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what if we were this? And you play lava and you pretend, and like it just opens up the possibilities of what you're capable of what other people are capable of what, you know, a problem for me is that I feel like I'm tapped back into my creativity, and so I refuse to accept the reality that exists, right? Like I'm constantly trying to build a new one. So I build it for myself and then I share with hopes that, you know, other people feel empowered to do the same. And something that this article goes into is it asks the question, what exactly is fun and play, right? I keep saying the words over and over and over again, but what is it? And I wrote in here a couple questions. I said, something for you to think about. Maybe you can journal on this, right? Maybe this could be a journal exercise. But what does fun and play mean to you? I know what it means to me, but what does it mean to you? What does fun and play feel like? What feels like play? What feels like fun? What comes up for you when you think of those words? I said, think back to when you were a child or a preteen or a teenager and think about like what sparked joy. What sparks joy in your adult life? Maybe you can start there. Maybe you don't have access to those memories when you're a child, but you have access to what brings joy to you now. Like, does organizing your house spark joy, right? Like, which feels like a very adult thing, but that could also be considered creativity, right? Problem solving, right? Like, if you want to rearrange your living room and you like doing that every once in a while, well, now you're thinking, okay, well, what if I put it over here because it'll look like this, and then what if I did this, and now it's playful. Now you're engaged in your flow state. Now you're engaged in creativity and curiosity, right? It might not outwardly be called, someone might not call that play, but if that's what makes you feel alive and what gets you excited and feels like you're doing something that brings you joy, start there. And then you can reverse engineer, right? Maybe your favorite thing to do as a kid was playing with Legos. Not that different than reorganizing your house, right? You're building things, you're putting things together. I asked the question, what were and are the activities you loved where you felt creative and uninhibited as a child? Or even as an adult, where you feel uninhibited. Inhibited means like you feel blocked, like you feel like you can't fully express. You feel like you have to kind of dim your light or hide parts of yourself to be accepted, right? When you feel uninhibited, right? A lot of times we hear this word associated with like drinking, like release your inhibitions, right? A lot of us drink so we can feel that experience of being uninhibited, where we don't feel so blocked. Because what happens when people get tipsy? They start laughing, they start joking, they start expressing themselves more dramatically. They're like, oh my God, I just love you so much. It's like it gives you access to who you really are. But the shame you have when you're sober, you inhibit yourself, right? I challenge everyone to try to access that uninhibited self-expression sober, because it's so much more rewarding and you don't have a hangover afterwards. So I gave some examples. So examples of fun and play for me, just so you have an idea, I put little ways and big ways. The little ways are just like kind of everyday situations, and the big ways kind of involve a little bit of a financial investment of at least how I spend my time. So little ways, I feel playful, right? And like I incorporate fun into my life. Dancing in my kitchen when I cook. Easy, so much fun. Because when I'm cooking, it's like I'm already in flow state. Cooking itself is a creative act. Singing in the car on road trips. Allowing myself to belt at the top of my lungs to music. Even if you're by yourself, like doing this, a lot of people don't even feel comfortable doing this alone, right? Start there. Like start with a small something, like play your favorite song and just kind of let yourself dance a little bit to it, right? A lot of us are so blocked that even doing that is a challenge. So challenge yourself. Little ways, I tap dance through aisles in the grocery store. I like doing bits that make my friends laugh. I have dance parties with my best friend's kids. That's probably one of my favorites, little ways that I incorporate fun and play into my life. Literally playing with my friends' kids. If it's hard for you to play make-believe or to pretend with them, probably have a creative block in there somewhere. Or some shame. Shame is really the key here. Like, shame is what blocks us from is the core thing that blocks us from healing, that keeps us from feeling whole and accepted, right? It's the shame that was put on us when we were kids that we have continued on as adults. And shame is kind of leads you into self-hatred, which then when you see somebody else doing the thing that you wish you could do or the thing that you were shamed for, a lot of times you're disgusted by that behavior. Something just to keep in mind. If little kids annoy the fuck out of you, excuse my French, you probably have some shame around being a kid. you were probably told you were annoying. You were probably told that you were a nuisance or that you were the problem, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas the kid is just fully expressing themselves, uninhibited, just like totally free and safe to be who they are. And when you see that as an adult, a lot of times there's like this unconscious jealousy that occurs. And it's kind of like, well, I wasn't allowed to express myself, so you should shut up. And I'm like, ugh. So if that's an experience that you have, something to look at. There's probably something in there where maybe you weren't allowed to express yourself. Maybe you were called annoying. Maybe you were called the problem. You were just being a kid. And that's where you as the parent, as the adult, as the parent, reparenting your inner child, has to give your child grace and be like, no, it's okay, bro. Like, it's okay to express yourself. Fun is the whole point. Like, let me play with you. Let me create a space where you can play. And we'll get into that in a second. The last little way that I put on here as an example was running in slow motion while my niece chases me in her roller seat around the house. Like when little kids, like, they can't walk yet, they're in those little seats where they're like running around. I would just like run in slow motion, like, no, don't get me. And then she would chase me and I would pretend like she was catching me. That's like an easy little way to incorporate more fun and play in your life. Just being silly, just in general, being silly is like the perfect, allowing yourself to go there. I think for me, it's easier with children than it is with adults, because with children, they are so free that you could literally do anything and they're going to just yes and you. Like, kids are the best improvers in the world. Whereas with adults, like, sometimes it's a risk. Sometimes, like, you throw a bit out there and maybe they don't catch it, right? But when they do, but like, you have to have the the self-confidence or the ability to self-soothe yourself if you do feel like you're rejected by that person, and just know, like, oh, like, they probably are inhibited. Maybe they've got some shame around being playful, and like, that's a them thing, right? Not every bit you do is going to be good or it's going to land, but it's worth the risk, because the times when you allow yourself to be playful and it's reciprocated and the person that you're engaging with receives it and tosses it back like a volley, nothing feels better. Nothing feels better than two adult people just like kikiing and hee-heeing, ha-haing, right? Some big ways that I incorporate play and fun in my life: ziplining through the jungle on vacation. So much fun. I'm laughing. I'm having a good time. I'm in wonder and awe of my environment. Competing in a dance competition. This is something that I did as a kid that I did as an adult recently, for my inner child. It was something that my inner child always wanted to do, was compete at, World of Dance. And it was a financial investment, but very playful, very fun. It was something I loved to do as a kid. It sparked lots of joy. Taking salsa lessons, going to an arcade. These are other ways where you can, they're like thought of as childlike things, but just putting yourself in that space and just seeing what happens, right? Let yourself play Pac-Man. Let yourself play Guitar Hero. Like, bring back those memories of when you were younger, where you didn't give a shit, who was looking at you or whatever. Like, God forbid you laugh every once in a while, And so this might have to be 2 parts, guys. This might have to be 2 parts. I'm going to try this. I didn't realize how many notes I took. So anyway, so a journal exercise, right? So like, if you are struggling to answer, like, what does play and fun feel like for me? This article by Annie Wright, this article asks some questions that you can ask yourself. And it says, what evokes delight, aliveness, joy, happiness, or even contentment for you? Write that down. Can you see any of these things as potential sources of fun and play? Good question. Ask, what used to light you up? What did you love as a kid and a teen? Which I kind of asked that earlier. If you can't remember, who can you ask who might remember instead? What do childhood pictures show you about what it seems like you used to enjoy? Some of us might be so removed from our childlike selves that you need someone to reflect back to you what you actually liked, right? Or look at pictures of yourself, the things you were doing in the pictures, to access those memories and to access that information. It says, if you still have no clue what fun and play means to you, could you treat yourself like you would your beloved child and consider exposing yourself to a wide range of potential interests and hobbies so you can get to know what invokes positive feelings in you as an adult? You might not have any clue, right? Are there things that you could try? Write those down. What is stopping you from doing this? Oh, sorry. It says, if you do know what fun and play looks like for you, what would it take to weave this into your daily life more? The weaving into the daily life for me are the little ways. It's like the dancing in the kitchen, the singing in the shower, the playing with my nieces and nephews. Like I can weave these little moments of play and fun into my experiences with them. And they don't have to be big. They don't have to be grandiose things. They can just, like, how can you weave that into your life? Write that down. And then the last thing, what is stopping you from doing this? What stories do you have about the value of fun and play that might be limiting how much you let yourself have this? Values, right? Do you value working over play? Do you value coming across as a serious person over play? Like what is stopping you from engaging in this work of play and fun? What limiting beliefs do you have around it? Do you think that it's not going to do anything for you? Do you think that it's silly? Do you think that it's a waste of time? Do you think that it's going to make you look stupid? Do you think people are going to judge you for it? What are the things you have surrounding you that are blocking you from this work? Great questions. That'll be a journal exercise. Okay, so that is why play and joy are essential parts of healing, because it helps you feel alive. It helps give you access to your life force energy, in my opinion, your creativity, your curiosity. Opens you up to new experiences, to wonder, to delight, right? Makes you feel more purposeful and more whole. You're accessing a part of yourself that may be blocked, right? And then let's get into how unexpressed creativity equals stored sadness. So I said creativity a lot in this first part with play and fun, but creativity itself is, like, in my opinion, we are creators here on Earth. Humans are creators. Our whole reason for being here is to give things meaning. And the thing that we're best at is creating something from nothing. Right? That's my belief. Do with that what you will. So I found an article on psychologytoday.com because it just seems to be like a pretty reputable source. And if it's not, don't come for me. And there was this article called Creativity, the Missing Piece in the Journey of Grief, which, what is childhood trauma? What is inner child work if not an exercise in trying to process grief, right? And to recalibrate to a new reality, right? You gotta go through the shit to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know why there's no workaround, but it just is true. So this article says the missing piece in the journey of grief is creativity. And it says being creative reminds us that there is more to us than the pain we endure. So there's, like, somebody's mowing outside. So if you can hear that, I'm so sorry. So yeah, so creativity is like the opposite of pain. It's a way to alchemize. It's a way to give things new meaning. It's a way to create a new reality, using the word in the word to describe the word. Not the best, but in this article, she says something that I kind of picked a couple parts that I really liked. And it says, the mission of creation is always one of restoration and redemption. It's not just about creating art or new ideas. It's about envisioning new solutions to old problems, thinking outside the box, and daring to dream a better future. Ooh, I like that. What does our little child want more than to dream a better future? Because the reality of what you're going through when you're a kid, it's like, this cannot be it, my guy. This cannot be it. Okay. Yeah. It's about envisioning new solutions to old problems. I love that part too. She goes on to say, if we don't create something new where there was once despair, we run the risk of remaining stuck. Which, stuck in so many ways, stuck mentally, stuck physically, stuck emotionally, um, stuck in a time period where like you still act like a 7-year-old kid as an adult. Like you're stuck in time, right? The creativity gives an opportunity, tapping into creativity gives an opportunity to distill the information and to create a new meaning, right? If we're creators, right? If our whole reason for being here is to give things meaning, creativity is how we give it meaning in like a positive way, right? I mean, you can give things meaning in a negative way too. Like that's also creative, but it's like, is that going to make you feel better? Ooh, don't think so. Um, she goes on to say like, engaging in creative activities allows us to reclaim control over our lives, which when we are children, the reason why we feel safe is because we feel like we have no control over what's happening. Because we are kids. We have no power. We have no authority. We have no resources. We are at the mercy of these people taking care of us. Yeah, when we create, we make choices. This is especially empowering for those who feel helpless due to adversity. The act of creating something beautiful or meaningful restores a sense of agency and self-efficacy. Studies show that trauma survivors involved in community arts programs experience significant reductions in anxiety, depression, and stress. Which this is like what happens when you paint, when you dance, when you draw. Like not only are you expressing the pain that you went through, expressing whatever it is you're feeling, but you're turning it into something beautiful. You are alchemizing the experience. You are transmuting what hurts you into something that's beautiful and helpful. She said, creativity allows us to hold and experience emotions we might otherwise avoid. Right. Creativity also brings forth the thing that you're most troubled with and forces you to look at it. I mean, forces you, like you're vulnerable and courageous enough to look at it and to then describe what it means to you, right? Whether you're drawing or painting or dancing or whatever it is, you're doing martial arts, like, it offers a way to process grief, anger, and fear, turning these emotions into something tangible and manageable. By engaging in creative activities, we can find new ways to cope and heal, bringing hope where there was once despair. And she ends the article, or like part of the article that hit me the most was, through art, we realize there's more to us than the pain we endure. Right. It's like, you're not just, if you're a person who thinks that you're this broken, disgusting, pathetic fraud, shout out, your creativity, your art, whatever it is that you make, you can alchemize all that. And then you're left with not only this beautiful distillation of what you went through, but through writing is an amazing tool for processing grief, like writing, journaling, like almost always at the end of it, like the insight you glean from the experience, like a lot of times when you are going back over your story, right? If specifically in writing or in painting or whatever, when you're going back over your story and what you went through and how you feel now you can see it. You can see what it is that you think, and you can see what it is you feel. And you can look at it from this objective point of view, or subjective still, but from this like third eye, bird's eye point of view, and be like, whoa, the strength it took me to get through that, the courage it took me to get through that, the fact that I survived, the grace you can give yourself for doing all of that, and at such a young age. Sometimes until you see it in front of yourself, you don't have the clarity for that, right? Which leads me into how to access creativity, joy, and play, right? How to do this work, how to get there, how to give yourself the opportunity to create and to be joyful and to play. And I put 5 things down. I said, speak through artistic or creative expression, right? Draw, sing, dance, play an instrument, journal, or write. What made your eyes light up when you were a child, right? What brought you inspiration, excitement, and release? Find an activity that pulls you into a creative space where you can get lost and also be found when you are ready. Let yourself communicate in a way that only you can understand and appreciate, which I did pull that from stepupformentalhealth.org. Set play dates with yourself. I'm kind of speeding through this because I'm running out of time. Set play dates with your inner child, aka artist dates, right? Set time aside for yourself to do these things by yourself, not around other people, by yourself. Set up time to allow yourself to engage in activities you enjoyed doing as a child. Watch your inner child come out to play and make sure it's not playing alone. And when it says not playing alone, it's like your inner child and adult you, right? Respond to your inner child's playfulness and allow its lightheartedness, curiosity, and tenderness to react through you. Allow yourself to play pretend, like break out those Barbies, break out those blocks, do a puzzle, like just give yourself the opportunity to be free, right? Flow state that artists talk about is like flow state for your inner child. It's just when you feel free to be yourself and let yourself go in whatever direction that looks like. But the play day part of it is like alone time, which I go into the next one. It's like alone time. Give yourself time to be bored. Meditate, walk in nature, read, allow yourself to be bored. Give your nervous system time to relax. A massive part of why we stay stuck is because we never give our inner child the chance to speak. And if they do speak, we don't have the energy or capacity to hear them and really listen. Some of our best ideas happen in the shower, on a walk in nature, or in our car. All times where you're usually alone. So give yourself the gift of your own energy and watch how your inner child and your inner mind comes up with all kinds of ideas, creativity, and all that stuff. Oh my God, I'm running out of time. I also put journaling on here, the morning pages, and I said, give yourself grace. And you know what? I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to make another video and add to this. So there's going to be a little blip right like here. Sorry about that. I just did not want to rush through that. So the fourth thing I put down here is journaling, right? A lot of times because there's so much going on in our adult lives, it's hard to access the part of our brain where creativity and joy live. Journaling, aka what I like to call brain dumping, helps us sift through all the goop in our minds to get to the good stuff. It helps bring clarity to what we desire and what needs healing and what we'd like to do about it. Once you have awareness, then you'll be able to act on your creative endeavors and act on what sparks joy, leading to more free-flowing living and less dread. Dramatic way to say that, but it's true. Like sometimes, like what I said earlier, our brain is going in a million directions all at once. So it's like we don't have the ability to like see what it is we're actually working with, right? We just feel all these feelings and like they're not organized and it's chaotic. And a lot of times the negative ones are the ones that take up the most space in our brain because we'll ruminate on them and we'll stress about them. Whereas journaling, it's like, yes, get all those ruminating and stress ideas out on paper, express it, put it in a physical reality so you can look at it and then from there you can organize kind of what it is you're going through. And you can point out like, oh shit, like this came up for me and this came up for me. And more on journaling in a second. But the fifth one, I said, how to access creativity, joy, and play is give yourself grace. And don't take yourself too seriously. That was the other thing I put in here. I wrote, the moment you allow yourself to be human, the happier you'll be. This is perfection unfolding for a reason, right? Like, this is not like seeking perfection. This is perfection unfolding, right? You are human. You are a human being, and being human is part of the imperfect experience that your soul is living. But you came here for that experience. This is my belief. Take it if it resonates, right? You weren't here to be some angelic, spiritual orb, right? Who is like perfectly loving. You came here to discover that you are love. You came here to remember that you are this perfect being at your core. And being human is the experience that you decided on when you came here in order to remember that truth. That's why it's unfolding in perfect divine timing. Because if we just knew that was true, we would never have the experience of contrast. We would never have the experience of what not love looks like, of what sorrow looks like so that we can experience joy. We would never experience any emotion because we would just have the one, right? We would just have love. We would just have acceptance. We would just have that. And so we wouldn't even know what that was without the contrast of pain, sorrow, dread, right? That's my little spiel, but all that to say, give yourself grace, right? It is possible to strive for excellence while also releasing the pressure you put on yourself to be perfect. Your effort is what dictates excellence. Your effort is what dictates, is what dictates excellence or not the outcome itself. So take a deep breath and relax into the knowing that you are enough as you are. Yes, have goals. Yes, continue towards your path with dedication and drive, but leave room for yourself to just be along the way. Allow yourself to be, bro. You don't have to do so much, right? Give yourself grace for your mistakes, for your shortcomings, for your whatever the hell you feel ashamed about. Grace is the key to all of this. It's what's going to make your inner child feel loved and feel accepted. Grace is like what your parents give you and what makes you feel accepted for being exactly who and what you are, right? It really is not that serious. And I put in here to laugh at yourself when you make a mistake, to crack a joke here and there, like continue down your path of dedication and drive, but leave room for yourself to be along the way. Excuse me. I said, most of us aren't doing brain surgery or launching rockets, okay? Nothing is so serious and detrimental that you can't take time to forgive yourself and then to also be silly every once in a while. In my experience, the best places / work environments I ever experienced had a lot of laughter around the office. People feel like they can be themselves in environments that feel more playful, aka that feel safer to fully express oneself. The more shame you hold for, let's say not even for when you were a child, but things you've even done as an adult, right? The more shame you hold and the tighter you hold on to it, the more serious you take yourself, the harder it's going to be to like let yourself be free, to let yourself be joyful, to let yourself play. You might be a person who is seeking acceptance from others in order to feel that safety, right? A lot of us people pleasers and anxious girlies, like we seek for that acceptance outwardly. Like that's, and people can feel that like insecurity where we don't feel secure in ourselves. But if you turn that back around and you just give it to yourself, you give yourself self-acceptance, you give yourself grace, it's going to change everything for you. You're no longer going to be seeking it because you have it. And when you have that for yourself, your inner child has that too. And then your inner child feels safe to come forth and to play and to make jokes and to be silly, right? So that is why play and creativity is so important to healing. That was how unexpressed creativity can equate to stored sadness and depression. And then how to access creativity, joy, and play. Again, speak through artistic and creative expression, set play dates for your inner child or artist dates, which I'll get into. Spend time alone, let yourself be bored. Journal the shit out of your life and experience so you can alchemize it and transmute it into something new. And then give yourself grace, right? Those are the 5 main things to how to access joy, play, and creativity. And then as a bonus thing, I want to recommend this book called The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. This book is for people with creative blocks, but the work you do in the book is really inner child work because you're trying to get to your creative juices and your creative flow. And I'm about to run out of time, so let me record one more video. Okay, I've got 3 minutes. I'm sorry, this is so chaotic. This is the best and worst part about recording on your phone. So the last part, the Artist's Way is a spiritual path to higher creativity. The Artist's Way is the single most impactful book I've ever read in my life. Because not only is it a book, but it gives you homework, right? And the homework in this book to access your creativity, which is just another way of saying to heal your inner child, is she has two main things. This is a book by Julia Cameron. She's incredible. I've got a link to the book in the description below for the 30th anniversary edition on thriftbooks.com. This is not sponsored. I just love thrift books because I don't like paying full price for old books, right? Like I'll buy a new book if it's like a new author and they need to know that their pre-sales are up, but I like to buy most of my books on thrift books, A, because reduce, reuse, recycle, and B, because I just like that the price is low. So in the book, she has two exercises which go perfectly in line with the 5 ways to access joy, creativity, and play that I just talked about. And those two exercises are the artist date, which sounds familiar to the inner child play date, right? And the morning pages, which is journaling, right? And so the artist date is essentially, she says it's imperative that you do both of these things to get back to your creative flow and or access your inner child's joy, creativity, curiosity. The artist date is where you give yourself minimum 2 hours a week to go do something that your inner child loves to do. Whether it's go to a museum, go to a dance class, journal, write, doodle, cook, like it's 2 hours of uninterrupted alone time with you, by you, to go do something that you like to do. I've done museum, I've done dance class, I've done, my favorite thing to do is to wander around. So I gave my artist date was always wandering around. I went to an art installation once, that was really cool. And then the second one is morning pages, which is 3 pages, first thing in the morning, every day, where you just, they call it automatic writing, where you just let yourself dump all the shit out of your brain onto the pages, right? Without thinking, without judging, you just get everything out. And she says 3 pages specifically is like the goal. And so those are 2 ways. So buy this book, read this book. It'll change your life. Not only if you're an artist, but like if you're doing this work. But those 2 exercises are like incredible for inner child healing, for your inner child to be able to open up and to play and to feel free again, right? And so to wrap all of this up, again, thanks for your patience with the video doing its thing. But to wrap all this up, like, this is the part of inner child work that is so fun. This is the part where it could be really difficult for you. But once you practice and once you start getting into the rhythm of doing it, of doing the morning pages, which again, read that book. She'll explain it further into why it's so important. An incredible resource, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. But you will get to know yourself in such an intimate way that it will help you realize, like, and feel safe being vulnerable with yourself, which will then bleed into the rest of your life. You can be vulnerable in your relationships. You can be vulnerable with your parents. You can be vulnerable in your creative expression, right? Like, so many of us have all this. Every single person, in my opinion, is an artist because we are inherently creative beings. And what is creativity if not just expression of your experience, expression of self? That's all it is. You just take the expression from the inside into the outside and pick whatever medium you want. That's art. Not all of the art, quote unquote, is going to be, it's going to be quote unquote good, because the whole reason for creating is not for public consumption. It is not for capitalistic gain. Art is for you. Creativity is for you. It's so you can experience joy. It's so you can experience fun and play, so that at the end of the day, you can live a more enlivened, exciting, enjoyable life with purpose and meaning, right? So that is it for this episode. That's all I got for you. I am pushing my phone storage to the limit today, but I'm just really proud to be bringing this for you, to you. I hope that really helps you. I hope that this is the episode that kind of gets me excited, because inner child work is, like, again, the single thing that has changed my life. Like, it has changed everything. Once I started living my life for little me, the decisions I make, the financial choices that I make, like everything is for little Cara. Everything is for our happiness, for her joy. Like think about all the things you would do for your own kid. That's how I live my life for me. Like I go to the beach, I feel more alive, I feel more playful. Now I need to make sure I go to the beach more often, right? Like she's always telling me all the things all the time that spark joy and that make her happy. Literally 2 days ago, I was in a haunted house promo video for my friend Lindsay. And I didn't realize how much fun it would be to just scream and act and play. Um, and I was like, okay, I need to do more of this, like noted, you know? So that is today's episode. As always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for, I'm hoping that you love me. Thank you for loving me. And I just hope that this helped you in some way. As always, subscribe, like, share this with a friend who you think could use it today. And let me know how this work impacts you. Let me know what you did, what you got from this whole episode, and what worked the best for you. Because we're all different, right? And our inner child needs specifically whatever it is that they need. So with that, I love you so much, and I'll talk to you next week. I love you. Bye.